One more sleep until the playoffs begin. Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by Bet365. We have Big E and Rudo as always, but special guest, the best in the biz, Petey, here to talk a little bit of Avs versus Dallas. Either tell us why the Avs are the best or maybe crush our dreams and say why it might not be so easy for them to get through Dallas. I'm not sure which way it'll go. We'll talk position by position. We'll get into all the ins and outs of this series. If you want our more thoughts, in-depth thoughts, AJ's thoughts, go check out our preview video of the series as well, which just dropped this morning. So go check that out here on YouTube. Petey, first of all, thanks for joining us. As always, appreciate you coming on. Are you ready for the playoffs?
Rudo, I can't wait. And first of all, let me say how honored I am to be on the flagship of the ALLCITY network. It's been a while since I've been on DNVR. I don't know if I've ever been on with Big E. This is kind of a big deal. And by the way, Big E, at one point in his career, he's done everything in the National Hockey League. Just ask him. He's done everything. Yeah. But at one point, video guy. Just throw it out there. Video guy. Sir. We got to stick together. Just for a hot minute, he was a video guy. But that union got to stick together very tight.
And I say that's the heaviest workload of any job in the NHL. You know that, and I mean that. It's the heaviest workload of any job in the league. It's a lot of work. It was fun.
Big E, I want to come back as a goalie coach. If I ever come back as a job, that's it. They roll in, those goalie guys, they roll in late, they take out early, and they just cash their check. Goalies guys got it made. Take care of two guys.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I agree with you.
Can you come back as a goalie coach with your hatred of the reverse VH, though?
Yeah, probably not. They won't.
True.
Look, you are a goalie, Petey. So I wanted to start there. We'll start at the back and work our way up. As much as I hate to say it, I think goaltending is probably the biggest question mark when it comes to Colorado. Not that Blackwood isn't a good goalie. Not that Blackwood hasn't been good for the Avs this year. But there is just no proven track record at all when it comes to the playoffs there. Meanwhile, on the other side, you have Oettinger, who has multiple solid playoff years.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. And I'll go say this. When I look at the Avalanche over the last decade, I've always said one of their weaknesses is the back end. And even when they win the Stanley Cup with Kemper was good. Kemper wasn't great. He was good. And good is good enough for teams that are that powerful.
For that team, it was good enough, yeah.
Absolutely. And he didn't have to. He was good. And good is good. I think Blackwood's going to have to be better than that this year. And the concern I have for Blackwood, when you go head-to-head, over the last two seasons, Oettinger's played 38 playoff games. Blackwood's never played one. That's a big deal. I think that experience in that pressure cooker in this, you're playing the same team day after day after day, I think it matters. I don't like the way either goalie finished the season. Like Blackwood, for me, loses 3 in a row. He's given up 3+ in 4 straight, lost 4 to 5. That doesn't give you the warm fuzzies going in. But you know who does is the old Coyote legend is Scotty Wedgwood. 8-1, 2 or less than 10 of 11. The one thing you have in Colorado that gives you a little bit of confidence is Blackwood stumbles at all. You have got somebody that you can go, okay, we're fine. And I don't know if you've had a number 1 that you could feel that way about. You definitely didn't have a number 2 that you could feel like, okay, we're going to be in safe hands. I feel comfortable with Wedgwood getting games. Oettinger, to me, can be elite. Oettinger's ability for me to be one of the top 5 goaltenders in the National Hockey League until the playoffs start. And you've seen it in the last 2 Western Conference Finals, how he hasn't brought his best. And there's something about it when you need that win. You need him to be the best goalie on the ice. He just hasn't been able to come through. I do give Dallas the edge here. I do. And I think it's playoff experience with what Oettinger brings, but it's close. It's really close. And if Blackwood can play like he did a month ago, that's going to be good enough for this Colorado Avalanche team.
I think you hit it on it a couple of times there. The Avs don't need elite; they need good enough in goal. They're a well enough put together team that they just need their goalie to not be losing them games. If he steals one, it starts to see a pretty easy path to them winning the series, in my opinion.
I agree with Petey too because I'm a big Blackwood fan, Petey, just so you know. And yeah, I haven't liked this game the past month. I haven't. I tell Rudo, I'm like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. He doesn't look comfortable. I know he was sick. I know he missed a little bit of time, and then he was kind of catching up. I just don't. I just haven't seen the swag that I saw earlier on when his numbers were absolutely unbelievable. So yeah, I agree with you, but I like the fact that. And I agree. I think Joe on chat's talking about like, yeah, Patty Waugh came in 1986, no playoff experience. I've seen it. Yes, absolutely. And that shows my age a little bit here. But I'm just saying, yeah, I got no problem with that. As long as you have swag and you can play, I got no problem. I think, but what I like though is the team has experience behind them. So there's the core guys that he can rely on. And then Wedgwood, I'm not telling you he's got a ton of experience in the National Hockey League, but you know that because you had him firsthand. You talk about a pro, and you talk about a great teammate to second it to make sure you're feeling good. You just said it, goalie coaches, right? You know, there's only two goalies. They got to rely on each other. So that's what I think last year lacked a little bit for Georgiev, which I wasn't a big Georgiev fan at all. But I was saying to Rudo the whole time, go get a Fleury type guy. You know what I mean? Where you can actually make Mackenzie feel better. You know what I mean? Like, or Georgie last year feel better and understand and just kind of be able to breathe a little more. So I think that's what Wedgwood will bring. That's what Wedgwood will bring. A nice little security blanket to Mackenzie, and I believe that will make him play better. That's just my thoughts.
So, yeah, but the one thing I wish, and again for the Colorado fans, is you wish you had a warm-up series that wasn't the Dallas Stars. And I do believe that Blackwood, you talk about when he's playing with confidence and swag, if you playing somebody else the first round, just where you could get your toes wet in the playoff, play a couple of games and go, look, we'll take care of Dallas in the next round and we'll face them eventually, but just get a few games under your belt. Unfortunately, they're going to Dallas game one and it's into the fire. So
they're all
I wish that he had that. Yeah, exactly. Yep. There's no warming up. There's no training wheels. It's go time.
So let me ask you guys this then. How short is the leash when it comes to Blackwood when you have Wedgwood as the option there? I know you guys both said you'd comfortable with Wedgwood getting games, but how do you manage that for a guy that, let's also remember that Blackwood is signed to a 5-year extension now. He's the guy in Colorado now. Do you risk blowing up that a bit by pulling him with a quick leash?
For me, it depends. And here's what it depends on. It depends on what he looks like in game one. If he can lose game one 4-2 and play great and play good, sure. Not great, but play good. He comes in 6-1 out of game one.
It's rough.
I can't wait. I can't wait. So I really do think you can lose game one and stick with him for game two. I don't think he can look shaky. I don't think he can look up bad goals from just inside the blue line. I don't think he can have turnovers behind the puck play below the goal line. I think it's a matter of, does he look like he's confident and solid? And he can still lose, and continue to play. He just can't look like, oh my goodness, we're in trouble. You give up 2 weak ones in game one, you don't have time. The runway is way too short. And because I think there is some confidence in the backup goaltender for the first time, and might be one of the best backup goaltenders in the league. That's how confident I am in Scotty Wedgwood. He's just a pro, and he just goes out and wins. That's what he does. He doesn't look flashy. He wins. So I think you could play him in game two and then go, okay, we're going back home. We're going back home. We'll put Blackwood back in and hold him in front of the Ball Arena crowd and see if that crowd can get him back. I think that could be a pathway too. The truth is, I don't think it's going to be 6-1 Dallas in game one. So I'm not too worried. I think McKenzie's going to be okay.
I agree. I agree. I think it'd be fine. And then Rudo, to answer your 5-year deal question, like, I think he is good. He is the goalie of the future. He's done the job. I love him. You know that. But I don't think that if he needs a little bit of a reset, I agree with Petey. You don't wait. And again, I always go back to older series because I don't know, they pop in my head quicker than newer series. But Carey Price, left his spot to Jaro Halak back then. I'm talking about. Remember when they beat Washington, and all of a sudden Price was still the goalie of the future. It's a little different because he's a bit older, but I'm saying
Price was what?
Mackenzie Blackwood's the goalie of the Avalanche. Yeah, I mean Mackenzie Blackwood's the goalie of the Avalanche next 5 years. But I agree with Petey. If you're not into it and you can't wait because then your season's over. So what I mean, if he's shaky, then you gotta make decisions.
Look, look, no doubt the Avs made too many moves to not try and win right now. The
Right.
goal is to win this year, and next year is next year's problem. There's no doubt about that. So if they believe Wedgwood gives them the best chance, then that's what you got to do. I'm good with that conversation. We can move forward to the defense. I think we all agree Dallas probably has the edge in net, even if it's a small edge at best, and who knows how the series actually plays out. Yeah. Defensively, I do think these defenses would be close if Dallas was fully healthy. Miro Heiskanen did skate by himself today, so he's not completely broken, but it does not look like he's particularly close to returning to actually playing hockey. Without Heiskanen, without Nils Lundqvist on that defense for Dallas, look, Thomas Harley's having a great year. Esa Lindell, super solid defenseman. But you look at the right side of that defense with Lyubushkin, Dumba, it feels thin for Dallas. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, this is all about the injury to Heiskanen, period. And I won't say that. That's even too aggressive. Dallas defense was good. They were good. You don't look at that defense, and I'm a firm believer in, and I believe in defense. I believe in winning championships is you better defend. You can score, but you better defend. And Dallas just doesn't have it. And Matt Dumba, nice player. And his better days are behind him in Minnesota. Lyubushkin, a great third pair guy that can be a little bit tougher in the corners. He can't play the minutes he's going to be expected to play in Dallas. Thomas Harley, again, is a guy who's having an outstanding season, leads this team in points. He's got a career high in his goals, assists, and points this year. Lindell can kill penalties. They're just not deep enough. And unfortunately for Dallas, they're not fast enough. And one of the things when you play Colorado, you better be able to either A, move your feet, or B, move the puck. And I'm not sure this defense for Dallas can do that. And so this contest, when you look at Colorado, top to bottom, and even with EJ, you know that you're not talking with Eric Johnson's not the most fleet of foot defenseman in the National Hockey League. But what he does bring is an incredibly high hockey IQ. And he knows that his limitations are there. And he knows how to play within those limitations and those guidelines to help advance the puck. And you know what? He's great in the room. And we say that a lot here, but Eric will attest to that. Great in the room matters right now. It's game 83. Mm-hmm. Good in the room matters. Your attitude and the way the room feels. And I tell you whose room isn't great right now is the one in green and white. Their room's a mess because they're losing, and losing stinks. So their confidence is not at an all-time high here. This, unfortunately, not for Stars fans, Avs fans, it's not even close. Literally not even close. Makar, to me, is the Norris Trophy winner again, best defenseman in hockey. Yeah. Quinn Hughes is great from the blue line in, but he doesn't play 200 feet. That's my argument for another day. Cale Makar, by far, best defenseman in the league, can do absolutely everything. He is an absolute difference maker, even with Heiskanen in the lineup. Dallas doesn't have the defense that Colorado does.
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to add to that, because I totally agree, it's I'm going to steal it from AJ, because our AJ, DNVR Avalanche AJ, when it happened, when I'm talking about the trade deadline, right away he was like, yeah, but that doesn't fix your right defenseman problem. You know what I mean? Because let's just face it, like it just, they didn't fix it at the trade deadline. I'm not saying they didn't try, but they didn't fix it, especially knowing that maybe Heiskanen is not going to be there. So I agree with Petey. It's a little too thin. Mm-hmm. Somebody in chat's asking, if it's true that they gave up the most goals since the Four Nations, I believe it is. You know what I mean? So they've had a hard time to defend, but it's also again, it's just like the Avalanche.
Bottom five, right? They were playing pretty much every metric since the break. So, yeah.
We'll give them a break saying, like, the Avalanche were not the greatest either because they did play, as we know. They weren't moving in the standings. Neither was Dallas, right? You know what I mean? So kind of, you know what I mean? That goes into effect a little bit. That would be the difference between the only thing I can add to Petey's thing, This
is not my first time doing this. Is this me that's causing all these problems?
Probably not. It's probably ECAM.
Okay, because it's not the first time I've done this before. I'm so apologize to everybody in DNVR, but I've done this before.
We've had a similar problem with AJ over the past couple months, so we're used to it, unfortunately.
Okay, that's fine. I feel better. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I think ECAM struggles after 3 callers.
But it's my fault too. It's my fault. If it was me, they'll trust me. They would be giving it to me because I am not very good technologically.
Big E, that's one thing, but like that's on the resume number. That's the first line of the video guy code is you got to be a good high tech guy. You were a hockey guy first. That guy's second.
It was tough. Oh boy, it was tough. I was
because
sweating.
they go to you.
I was sweating. Oh,
when things are broken, it's always the video guy. Hey, my phone doesn't work. The printer doesn't work. The projector doesn't work. Hey, video guy, fix it. You're like, what? How do I got called the coach's houses. Hey, my printer's not talking to my laptop. What do you want me to do? I'm a video guy. Anyway,
I can record some video of it not working. Yes.
Yeah.
Look, two video guys from the VHS era. All right, this is what we're dealing with.
Exactly. Yeah, true.
I do want to sidetrack us a bit, but first we do have to pay a couple of bills. So let's get into that first. Look, playoffs, you got to start with a good foundation. All right. You got to build from the bottom up. And that is where Empire Today comes in. Make sure you're building your floors the right way. Go get with Empire today and get up to $350 off with code DNVR. Head to empiretoday.com/DNVR to get a great deal. Of course, they only carry the top quality products. They filter out all the junk that other places carry that isn't even really good flooring. Whether it's tile, whether it's hardwood, or whether it's carpet, they've got you covered at Empire Today. They even use professional installers and make sure that you get whatever you need right in your home. You can get a free estimate in home. They'll come out, they'll show you what you need. They'll get it all set out in your space so you know exactly what it's going to look like when it comes to your new floors in Empire Today. So schedule that free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. DNVR listeners can get that $350 discount with that code DNVR, or of course head to empiretoday.com/DNVR for that full $350 discount. Of course, conditions and details apply. If you don't want to go online, you can always call 1-800-588-2300 Empire. Once you've got your floors installed, once you're feeling good, once you're ready for the playoffs, the other big key about the playoffs is staying healthy. That's where UC Health comes in. They're the official healthcare partner of the Colorado Avalanche. Obviously, it's important to stay healthy, whether you're a hockey player or anybody out there. If you watch the show regularly, you know I've lost a bunch of weight. AJ's lost a bunch of weight. He's an animal walking 20,000 steps a day now. We're taking better care of ourselves thanks to UC Health. So make sure you learn more about living like there is a tomorrow when you go to uchealth.org for more info. UC Health, live extraordinary. It's also a great time to become a DNVR diehard. We're calling it the NFL draft deal, but really it's the start of the NHL playoffs, right? You can get a $36 yearly membership right now if you sign up today. That gives you access to all of AJ's amazing Die Hard pieces, all of our other additional content. It also gets you a free shirt, discounts at the bar, access to our Discord, bunch of other amazing stuff to become a Die Hard. And, you know, it also helps support us, which we do like having jobs and working. So if you want to support us, it's a great way to do it by becoming a Die Hard. Highly recommend you go check that out. All right, second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. And I want to ask both of you guys this, because I think at least in the Avs world, we feel pretty comfortable with the last stretch of the season was a team that clearly left their foot off the gas. They were trying to get healthy. They feel relaxed, and they expect them to come in positively into the playoffs, whereas Dallas has lost 7 straight. A couple of those are in overtime. Should there be concern for either of those teams with the way the playoffs ended? I know Dallas has other injury problems, but I'm more talking about the results here. Should either of these teams be concerned about the struggles at the end of the season, or are you wiping that slate clean for the playoffs?
For me, it's a huge concern in Dallas. Huge. And it's not just that they're losing games, because to your point right now, there are teams putting their foot off the gas. There are guys taking guys out of the lineup, trying to get guys healthy and rested. So you're going to see losses this time of year. The problem with the Dallas Stars losses is how they're losing and the mistakes that are being made from their blue line in, and they're defending right now. Their defensive structure is horrific. Like, not just, hey, there's a rookie making a mistake and he's going to learn he's 22. No, we're talking about their top core guys are not defending well. They're leaving their goaltender with no defensive system in front of him. And it's happening night after night. And it's game 82. And you don't correct that now. Like, that's something you corrected game 30, game 40. I'm highly concerned at the way the Dallas Stars are playing heading into this, because it's not just their system play, which is poor. The coach hasn't shown he has an answer. And Eric will tell you that too. Players look to their coach. Well, we're losing. Help us. What are we going to do different? And you've got to try something different. And the Dallas Stars haven't done that. So the mood in the room right now, and with Tyler Seguin coming back in the lineup, you go, okay, we're going to get some relief. Why would we lose again? They put their best lineup on the ice though, and they lose again. And so I think there's a definite black cloud in that locker room. Robertson gets hurt. Now he's not there. So now I think it's start finding excuses. And you do not want a team to have excuses going into game one. You want to feel good about yourself, and maybe a little overrated feeling good about yourself. But right now, this is the team that's really, really struggling, and they can have excuses with Heiskanen and Robertson out of the lineup. They can go, oh, well, what did you expect? We don't have our guys. Colorado's bumps, I think, are more. There's more roster-related stuff. I don't think I'm as concerned if I'm Colorado because they have done good things during that stretch. Even when they're losing, you see that their offensive opportunities are there. They're still getting chances. They're still playing fast. So I'm less concerned when I'm in the Colorado Avalanche locker room than I am in the Dallas Stars room.
I agree with Petey there because, as you and I know, Rudo, we were discussing it every time, and I'm the one that was getting panicky a little bit. You calmed me down, if you remember. You know what I mean? Because it was more like, they were giving up 15 shots or 5 scoring chances against, and then losing 3-1. You know what I mean? It's not like everything was out the window, like a little bit like Petey saying about Dallas. And I agree with Petey because out of the three of us, he's been in the locker room the longest. There's a big difference between management. There's a big difference between, media. There's a big difference between fans. And Petey's been in rooms. I love that he's saying that because I try to preach it sometimes and I catch flack, like, oh, the locker room. No, the locker room is huge. Yeah. It is huge. Yeah. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like the aura, the smell, and it's so important. And when you lose it, it's tough to get back. You know what I mean? And, Rudo knows I go back to a certain series all the time that we're up 3-1 and we lost. And it's like, you can't help it. You've lost it. You're trying to chase it. It's gone. And then it's over. And then you lose and you're gone. And you're like, what happened? You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's not a good feeling. And you're right. Maybe there is a little bit of doubts over there. And I don't feel that at all. Not to be biased towards the DNVR Avalanche, you know what I mean? But I don't feel that with the Avalanche. You know what I mean? Right now. Yeah. You're right. I mean,
I agree. And there are times in playoff series too. There's two different things. There are times when you're going in as the 1 seed playing the 8 seed and it's not even close. I mean, I don't care if you come and you're happy at the rink at an 8 seed. You're outmanned, you're outclassed, you're out talented. And I think Arizona played Colorado in the bubble and got just smoked. 7-2, 7-2. It wasn't close. The skill level was so much different. It didn't matter that the room was tighter and they were good. It didn't matter. This series is different. This series, they're two very evenly matched teams that are very similar and had similar stretches throughout the season. So those little nuances, those little things make a difference. And the one thing that you can look at for Colorado now, to me, it's the word belief. And Dallas, it's so fragile. If they have one bad game at home, and I think this first game at home in Dallas is incredibly important. If Colorado makes us the nail biter, takes it to overtime, wins the game, Dallas is going to look in the mirror and go, uh-oh, we're in trouble. And that belief starts to disappear. But if you're Colorado, Landeskog's sitting in the room, whether he's an integral part of the game or not, he's there. And you can go, he's only going to get better. He's going to be better tomorrow than he was today. And even if we keep this thing close, hey, we were right in this game. And I think that swell in that Colorado room and that belief is definitely in their favor going into game one. And as long as they can lose game one, again, it's in Dallas. You're traveled, you got all those things. If they keep it close and they're competitive, they outshoot Dallas. They have great chances. Ottinger wins the game. I'm a Colorado coming out of that game and said, hey, we're right there. We're their goaltender beat us, not the whole team. So I think that's what Colorado's come out of with game one, to keep that belief rolling and those thought processes going into game two.
It really does feel like there should be a lot of things boosting the Avalanche locker room, right? It realistically, if Gabe Landeskog plays game one, they're talking about the first time they've had a truly healthy lineup in 3 years. Like, this is not just this season thing. This has been, for the core guys like McKinnon, a long time coming for them to get back to this point. So it does feel like there's a lot of driving factors behind them on that front. And when you move into the forward course of these two teams, look, if Jason Robertson was healthy, I think it's pretty close to a push between these two. I think the Avs probably have the higher end. Nathan McKinnon's just that good. But Dallas's depth is really, really impressive on the forward side. Less so with Robertson out.
Yeah, this one to me, it's funny. I've ebbed and flowed with the Dallas Stars forward group all season long. And their best play was right before Sagan got hurt. And Marchment, Duchesne, and Sagan were fantastic. They were their best line. And you could talk what you want about Hintz and Robertson. Robertson had a slow start to the season, coming off an injury in his foot. And I don't think he really had the start he wanted to. Towards the end of the season, he started putting up points. And you start to go, okay, now Wyatt Johnson, phenomenal player. Like, he's a kid to keep an eye on. If Dallas is going to stay in this one offensively, it's going to be
great in the series last year against the Avs too. So
he gets things done. He moves with his feet. He's around the net, and he's the guy that might tip the scales for Stars offensively, because they're going to have to look somewhere, because Robertson's a huge piece missing. Having said that, Robertson wasn't elite in the playoffs last year. He was good, but he wasn't a guy that drove this lineup. The Dallas Stars have a really good. If you're looking at Johnston, and I know they got Rantanen down, he's not going to be there. Who are we kidding? But this line, their top nine forwards are very good. Colorado's better. Colorado, and the thing about Colorado is it's up the middle, and everybody will tell you need to be good up the middle to win championships. And this middle right now for the Colorado Avalanche is phenomenal, because when you look to Brock Nelson and Charlie Coyle, you've got experience that you can trust on the ice in any situation. They've been there. They've seen it. They've done it. Now, I really like Brock Nelson. I think he brings something a lot of players don't bring to the game. So I give the nod again to Colorado. And I tell you why, too, is their speed up front as a team. And it's not always foot speed. It's the ability to get the puck up the ice. And people confuse playing fast with skating fast. Yes, skating fast is important, and Nathan McKinnon is as fast as there is in the world. Understood. But Colorado, what they do when they have forwards that maybe aren't as fast, they still play fast, because they have the ability to move the puck out from the back end to their forwards who are getting behind the opposing defense. Colorado, between the blue lines, is going to be a problem for Dallas. I think that's where Colorado forwards are going to win this series, is between the blue lines. I think the transition, because their defense moves so well, they're going to create turnovers between the blue lines, and Dallas's defense can't keep up with this front group of the Colorado Avalanche. I think Colorado, I give the slight edge. I know Dallas is deep, and I might be wrong. And that Sagan, Duchesne, Marchment line might be great. If they're going to be good, the Stars, it's going to be that line. And Duchesne has the ability to put up the numbers. But overall, in depth and the way they look up the middle of the ice and their 200-foot game from all of these players, I really want to be a Colorado Avalanche fan right now, because I really like this team. If they're not in the Western Finals, I'm shocked.
Let's go. See, Chet, it's not our bias.
No, we say that all the time. We think they're biased. They think we're biased, but I agree with that, because if we're talking about the forwards, you touched on it. For me, it's the ability of the D-core that's always jumping up on the play, and they activate, and they're always at the top of the league in points, right? You know, I mean, points by defensemen. So that makes a big difference to the attack. It makes a big difference to the forwards, 5-man units. And you're right. I was just going to say, you touched on it. It's the sentiment depth, and I think Lud's touched on it with you, right, Rudo, yesterday, or was it the day before? Whatever, Craig Ludwig in Dallas. The sentiment depth. I mean, I'm old school, you're old school, Petey. I mean, like, it starts in the net, but it's your back end and then the pillars down the middle. I mean, it's so important to have that, and I do believe the Avalanche are as good as they've ever been now, 1 through 4. You know what I mean? Like, they're solid, and for me, that's what makes it scary for a team to play, because it's like, hey, they really don't have a weakness there. You can have that fourth line of Kelly O'Connor, for example, and Drury stuck in your own end on an icing, and they're putting their first line or whoever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They can all play. But Coyle's going to be massive. I agree with that. Joseph, I agree. Coyle's going to be massive, and I agree. Brendan Tanev not being there is a big difference from last year. Tanev not being there is a big difference, from last season's encounter in the playoffs between those two teams. So I agree. I give the edge to the Avs, and on the forward side.
One thing though,
because of the back end.
One forward we haven't talked about yet, and I think we need to, is Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah,
and
next.
and who? Oh, I'm sure I'm not driving the show here. I'll let you do your job. But as a forward, I think it's a factor. And what does he mean as a factor? First of all, he's not the same since he left Denver, period. And I don't know. I'm not behind the scenes like you guys are on what happened there. I'm confused as hell as why he is not wearing a Colorado Avalanche jersey right now. He's an Av, period. He was never a Hurricane. That was ridiculous. And I think Tulsky, really, you're going to sign a guy that you don't think. But anyway, that's a whole nother show too. The Dallas Stars, he has not been the player they want him to be. He's got 18 points in 20 games, which was great. Colorado had 64 points in 49 games. Like, he was a massive part because he played the way they needed him to play on a line that he played with. He didn't have to do the things that Nathan MacKinnon did on the ice. He had a different role. I'm not sure he's going to sit. And if he could open up the playoffs with any other team, I think you're talking about a different Mikko Rantanen. He's going to sit in that room and whether it's the front of his mind or it's subconscious, he's going to be going, I should be over there. Like, I belong over there. That's my team. Those are my guys. Those are the guys I went to war with. And I think it's going to be really difficult for him to get one over and be the best player he can be in the series. And if you're Colorado, do you think you want Mikko Rantanen to go off on you? Hell no. Like, no. Like, they don't want Mikko Rantanen being the guy that leads the Stars over them. I think there's going to be a concerted effort to be, hey, anybody but him. Anybody, Duchesne, okay, but not, well, maybe not Duchesne. There's a history there.
Yes, that was tough too.
But Hinson, Robertson, yeah, but we're not okay. We're not letting Mikko take control of the series. He's not going to do this. This is our team, and I think again, this is one of those small little chess pieces that's going to get moved throughout this series. That the Mikko Rantanen presence is a big presence in this series. It's a big deal. And can he help drive the Stars offensively? I don't believe he can. And it's not that I don't like Mikko Rantanen. I love him. A phenomenal player. His best days are playing with the team that he loved and the players that he cared about and the guys he went to war with and won a cup with. He is not the same player as he was in the Colorado Avalanche wearing the green and black. He's not.
Yeah, I agree. I do want to dive into that more. Petey, do you have time for another segment? I don't want to. I know you're a busy guy.
I can sit around. I don't have a job. Right. Whatever. Let's talk.
This is what we're about. We're just chatting hockey. First, though, we are brought to you by Game Time. If you want to go see any of these games in person, maybe see what Mikko can do against the Avs, maybe see how Blackwood looks in the playoffs, Game Time is your way to do it. Make sure you're jumping in with them. Of course, you can download the Game Time app today and use code DNVR to get $20 off your first purchase. Of course, terms and conditions apply there, but this isn't even a Game Time thing. Like, I just say this is like, if you've never gone to a playoff hockey game live, go. It's something every human being should experience. Like, at least one. The atmosphere is just different. You have to go to one at some point. And you can do that through Game Time. They have great ways to get deals, whether it's last minute tickets or zone deals. You can pick a portion of the arena and they will pick your ticket for you and you can save some money that way. A bunch of other great deals too, including their Game Time picks feature. So jump in with them, get with Game Time today. Join over 15 million people that use Game Time to get their tickets, and they guarantee you the lowest price. If you find tickets cheaper somewhere else, they'll reimburse your account 110% of the difference. Again, get that Game Time app today. You can download it with the link in the description and get $20 off with code DNVR off your first purchase. Once you've got your tickets, once you're ready to go to, it doesn't have to be a hockey game, it could be any game. You're also going to want to exercise a little bit and get yourself to your own sports games. And that's where Volo comes in. You can get $10 off your Volo leagues with code DNVR10 here in Colorado. They are the biggest provider of adult social sports leagues, pickup games, and events. You can play all sorts of sports: soccer, volleyball, kickball, basketball, cornhole, other stuff. You can play in Lodo, Rhino, Highland, City Park, Cherry Creek, South Broadway, and more. Even if you're not in Denver, pretty much every major city in the country has a Volo chapter. So go check one out. You can meet new people. You can make new friends. It's a great way to be social, great way to exercise, great way to have fun playing sports. You can sign up today as a free agent or as a small group, or if you have a whole team, you can do that too. All ability levels and backgrounds are welcome to join. And remember to use that DNVR10 code to get $10 off any Denver Volo league. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. I do think the Mikko conversation is interesting. Petey, it sure sounds like you think advantage Avalanche in that regard, but also the ex-player curse seems to be a thing across the NHL where players find ways to pick up points. You guys have both been coaches in the league. I'm curious, how much, when a player goes to a new team like that, how much of a crossover of information happens? Does Mikko go to Dallas's coaching staff and be like, oh, the Avs like to do this and that and the other thing, or is that just fantasy from the fan perspective?
No, it's real. Of course it's real. What do they want to do? How do they want to defend on this? If a guy's climbing the wall, trying to get the puck low to high, what are they going to do with their board side winger? Absolutely. He's going to sit down with the coach. We'll bring him in. We'll bring a player like that right in the middle of the war room, and we'll go with a whiteboard, and we'll say, what are they trying to do? Now, the funny thing is, and you might not believe this, there are guys that don't know. And there are players that just play off instinct and just go out and play and aren't good in that situation. But absolutely, and it's important to get that information. However, the information that the player gives you that's important is more about they want to do this with this personnel, that this player in these situations, this player will play like this, versus the entirety of their system play. Because the system play, you can decipher as a coaching staff by video and scouts and going to these games. There's no secrets in the National Hockey League anymore on how teams are going to play and what systems are going to play with. But it's how those personnel are going to what's the buttons? What buttons can we push on McKinnon? Like, what's going to get him to go over the edge? What's going to make him play off his game? Makar, I know Makar's going to kill us. What can we do? Like, what are some of the things? How can we get him either off his game, or when we're forechecking on him, dump pucks, what's he looking for? What can we do to that particular player? Those things are going to matter. And I think with Mikko Rantanen, you're talking about a player with an extremely high hockey IQ that knows his teammates extremely well in Denver. So it helps. Is it enough to sway the balance? No, but it makes you feel like it does. And it makes, they'll have Rantanen up in front of the room, game one. I guarantee it. He's going to get up. Okay, Mikko, what do you guys say about this team? I guarantee it. He's going to get up there right after the coaches get done doing their 5-on-5 meeting. Rantanen's going to talk. And he's going to make the team feel like, okay, now we've got some inside information. I guarantee it. But Wedgwood can do the same. Wedgwood's been in that locker room in Dallas from a year ago. So the truth is, yes, they use those players. And yes, it is important. But it's more about how that player is going to react in this situation. How is Mikko Rantanen going to react game one? Facing, I guess in my mind, I envision Mikko Rantanen, this is his family, and they just put him up for adoption. Like, I think it's that chaotic for him. I think he envisioned him ending his career in Denver, and I think he's hurt. And how does he respond? Does he chip on his shoulder and I'm going to drive it? Somebody in the chat said the power play. He's got one power play goal in 19 games. I'm not too worried about him on the power play right now. So does he come out and say, I'm going to shove it down their rear end? Or is he going to go pout? I don't know. But I do think it's important to see how he reacts.
Historically, angry Mikko has been pretty pouty in Colorado. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah. But Petey's right. Petey's right because everything goes, right? I think it's important to know. I mean, again, there's a line you don't cross. There hasn't been that many players around the league that cross that line. You know what I'm saying? There's things you just don't say, right?
We had him. Well, we had Nick Cousins. Nick Cousins said, and I won't say what he said on air, but he had a player on the St. Louis Blues chasing him to the bus, and the comments were. They were so far off sides that I'm still stunned. Sorry, Nick Cousins.
But I agree. That's what I'm. Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm saying. I mean, there's a line you hope they don't cross, but everything goes right. It's just like it's your friends, your best friends. Like what makes them angry. You're playing cards on the plane. You know what makes Mikko angry. It's the same thing. You know what makes him angry on the ice. So, and then vice versa. They know. Mikko knows what. Like again, he's got. But then Wedgwood does the same thing, like you said. So that was exactly that. The only thing I want to add about Mikko is I'm going to use, like, for Avalanche Nation, a player. Like, I don't remember a guy of that, like, profile, being traded right there mid-season that's playing his team in the first round. I don't remember. The one that comes to mind for me, and he was a good friend of mine, and it was an Avalanche, is Rob Blake. I can tell you, like, Blakey does not like confrontation, a lot like Mikko, good guy and, good person, and, you know what I mean? Like all that stuff. And then all of a sudden your contract, it makes you look like you're greedy and all that kind of stuff. And, whatever it is. And then you get traded to the Avs. And then sure enough, you find the Avs, it was the second round. And Blakey he struggled. I got to be honest with you. Blakey struggled. He did not like. He was getting booed out of the building in L.A. It was crazy. And then he got that big goal, Game 7. and then it kind of got him back to normal. And then finally that series was over. They were up 3-1, and then remember LA almost came back, and Blakey was absolutely couldn't breathe. And then, so now I can see that a little bit, like with Mikko. Like, how is he going to react? I'm looking forward to it because there's not a lot of examples the last 20 years or so of guys that are such high profile like that are playing their former team like just a few months later. And again, we all know, like, I agree with Petey. I'm shocked. Mikko is one of my favorite. Rudo knows, one of my favorite Av of all time. He was my favorite player. Rudo knows. And then, now, do I like what happened? No. I'm supposed to run in a Speedo because I said he will never get traded or I'll run in a Speedo. So that's a scary sight, So anyway, that's still to be determined, but not to be determined, but hasn't been done yet. But and I was like, there's no way. He's never going to not be an Av. And then I think, as you know, when things happen, and Petey knows because he's been around for a long time, and next thing you know, it's the point of no return and you're gone, and it is what it is. And you know what I mean? Like, I think it's not like the Avalanche didn't want him, so it's not like, oh, I'm going to show you, you know what I mean? So the Avalanche wanted him. It's just a matter of not too sure where the ball was dropped. It certainly wasn't on the Avs side. And then next thing you know, he's gone, and he made a pit stop in Carolina that didn't go well, and now he's a Dallas star, and you're facing your brothers for the first round to go get the Stanley Cup. So it stinks. It's hard. Like, if people think it's easy, it's just a hockey game. It's not. It's not just a hockey game. It's a tough way to play.
Does he get booed? Does he get booed at Ball Arena?
There'll be a smattering of boos. It'll be mixed reception for sure. I think the larger part of the fan base appreciates him and appreciates what he did, but there are definitely some dislike as well around the fan base. So,
well, me, like, I love him, you know that, and I agree with Trash Bowl. That's probably the most anticipated series in the first round. It's an awesome series, but to answer the booing part, like, I love Mikko. I think he came back the other day, right? And I think people were great. There was a couple of boos, but it was nice. He got his tribute. I love him. Again, we're not friends. That's not what I'm saying because I'm older. But I'm saying, if I'm the Avalanche and I'm a diehard fan, like, absolutely, I boo him. I want to win. It has nothing to do. There's no personal feelings, and I want to get into his head, and I want to make sure that maybe that gives the Avalanche. I'm not disrespecting him. I know what he did. He's Hall of Fame Avalanche. God, my God, he's up there. He's got all the records, basically franchise records as winger, and he's won. He's been an unbelievable soldier. But you know what? I'll try to get into his head. It's not disrespecting. It's playoffs. It's fun.
The list of stars players Avs fans boo at this point is like a page long. So.
Exactly.
You got Maddie.
He's going to react different there. I keep going back to it. There's something about this that he should have been an Avalanche, and I think if he could go back and play this whole movie over again, he would. I think if he could go through. He and his agent could sit down and talk and go, we can look into the future of the crystal ball, and I'm in Carolina. Oh, buddy, no. At some point, people got to understand, and I say this to players before, and Eric, you've seen players that play in different cities under different situations and different circumstances for different coaches. Dude, it's not always about the money. I know people think, it is always about it. But players ultimately sign where they make the most money, but they shouldn't. Because your way of life and your lifestyle and your happiness away from the rink is more than half of your life. And the money part of it, what would you pay to be happy away from the rink? Be careful what you wish for, because sometimes it happens. And I think that's what happened to Mikko Rantanen. And he got greedy. He overvalued his situation. And it's not that he didn't deserve the money. It's what does that money do to the rest of the room? What does it do to the guy sitting next to you? What does it do to the cap going forward? There's so many factors, not just, we love you, Mikko. We'll pay you all we can. It just doesn't fit. And now he's sitting there going, he is not the Mikko Rantanen that played in Denver. He just isn't. When you watch him play with Dallas, there are nice plays. Of course, he's a talented, high-end player, but it's not the same. He doesn't drive that offense, and he's not a piece of the puzzle like he was in Denver. He just isn't. And I don't know if he ever will be, even with the long-term contract. I don't know if he's ever going to be the player he was.
It's an interesting conversation because I think there are multiple sides to it. Part of that conversation is, Mikko it was always going to be a better player next to Nathan MacKinnon as opposed to in a different role.
Sure.
Part of that is this is the first time Mikko's ever played in the NHL for any head coach not named Jared Bednar. This is his first time experiencing a different system, adjusting to different line mates, adjusting to all of these different things. And hopefully he hasn't figured it out yet. If you're the Avs, that would go a long way.
Do it next year.
Yeah, exactly. It's next year's problem. I did want to shift gears a little bit with you here, Petey. As the chat has talked about, Avs Dallas is probably one of, if not the most exciting series of the first round. But there are 7 other series, and if people don't know, Petey has the best video breakdowns on YouTube. I'm a decent second place to Petey, but Petey's breakdowns are amazing. Nobody knows NHL systems better than he does across the league. He knows all the teams. If you haven't watched his breakdowns, go check them out. But since he knows the system,
one second. Also, I just want to give props. I tell so many people to watch Petey's 101 videos that are like getting into hockey because I just recommend those to so many people. So such great work.
Great work inside the coach's room on YouTube. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's interesting right now. This time of year, I've always said this about system play, and it's not the team with the best systems; it's the team that plays their system the best. Because you can win a Stanley Cup playing a 1-3-1 or a 1-2-2, a man-on-man or a zone defense. You can win. You just have to do it right. And you have to do it as mistake-free as possible. So when you look at the teams going on right now, I look at there's a series in the East very similar to Colorado and Dallas in the West, and that's Tampa, Florida, who I think are 2 of the best teams in the Eastern Conference having to face off against each other. Florida's coming in just like Dallas. They're limping in. They're rested guys. They're injured. They're suspended. Florida's a lot like that series, and Tampa's a better team. Tampa's playing better hockey right now, and I think their goaltender's better right now, and I think that matters. I think that is the series in the East that the Dallas Stars, Colorado Avalanche series is in the West. I think those 2 teams, those 2 series could be the East and West finals. They could be. And unfortunately, those teams are going to be out. I do look across, though, and you look at the Washington Capitals, who are a team that win the Eastern Conference, 111 points, chasing Ovi. People are going to get mad, but there's no Caps fans here probably. I don't think they're built for it. I don't think they're built for this playoff run. I think Alexei Protas being on the lineup is a big loss for them. I don't think they make it to the Eastern Finals. I don't think they can get over on Carolina. I think Carolina is just too good at what they do, the way they play. Systems matter. They absolutely matter. Carolina plays that way. They are going to smother the hell out of the Washington Capitals. Though there are a few teams, I said, in the West. It's Vegas in the West. It's Colorado. It's not Edmonton. If people are going to tell me Edmonton should beat it, it's not Edmonton. They're not there. If McDavid and if it's the best 2-on-2, Edmonton wins. If it's 2-on-2 hockey, but it's not. It's 20 guys on the ice, and you can play those guys only 18 to 20 minutes a night. They're not going to win. It's Colorado. It's Colorado and Vegas. I don't see that Winnipeg. People keep talking Winnipeg. I like Winnipeg games 1-82. I really do. I think they've got some depth, and they've got some skill, and they're playing like a team, and they move the puck extremely well, and they have the best goalie in the National Hockey League. But he hasn't been the best goalie in the Hockey League starting with game 83. And I think that makes a difference if he can be. And Connor Hellebuyck can be the best goalie in the playoffs. This team can win a Stanley Cup. I'm just not convinced that they're going to. I think it's Vegas and Colorado, and I think in the East you're going to see the Tampa Bay Lightning is going to be just too much for the Eastern Conference, and I got Tampa coming out of the East. I don't know if that was your question, but that's where I went anyway.
No, that was perfect. Yeah, no, that was exactly right. You nailed it. I think it's interesting, that last bit, because I think we agree with most of your takes. Hellebuyck has to prove it in the playoffs now at this point. And I think there's an interesting mindset around Colorado. Hellebuyck is about to win his second best night in a row. He's by far the best goalie in the regular season. But we actively watched Avs players make decisions at the end of this year, or the Avs as a team. I don't want to say who necessarily made these decisions. Nathan MacKinnon, pretty decent chance he could have won an Art Ross, maybe a Hart this year. Decides to sit the last 2 games of the season, has a bigger goal in mind. Cale Makar is going to win the Norris anyway because he's just that good. Decides to sit the last 2 games of the season, wants to be ready for the playoffs. It feels like there are a handful of teams. I think Vegas is one of them, as you mentioned. Priority 1 is the big goal. It feels like there are some other teams that maybe they're, I don't want to say individual accolades, but there are things that we're in front of going out and winning a Stanley Cup as a team for some of these guys.
Washington. Yeah. Perfect example.
And like,
Let's
fair
get-
enough. You just broke a Gretzky record. Like, you deserve it, but
that's how they played. Watch that team play. Watch that team. When number 8 is on the ice, there are 4 players trying to get him the puck. It's not about advancing the puck into different zones. It's not about getting the best opportunity to make a good play offensively. It's get number 8 the puck, period. And it was like that for 25 games, if not the entire season. It's hard to flip that switch. It's a different. I know there's something special going on. I talked to somebody, a trainer there that used to work for the Coyotes, and saying there's something special here in Washington. There's something about playoff hockey that's different. And you just either you feel it or you don't. And I was on a team. I was in the locker room with the Coyotes in 2012. Buddy, it was not a very good team. Martin Hansel was the number 1 center. Antoine Vermette was number 2. And your listeners are going, who? And that's exactly right. They weren't very good, but there was something about that team. When you walked into that locker room, you go, okay, Shane Doan got this together, and this is going to be fun. And you just had that feeling. I don't know if there are many teams in the locker room that you go, okay, we really got a legit chance, and they believe it. I don't know if that's widespread. I think there's teams that people are talking about, the Toronto Maple Leafs. And again, this is some hatred from Arizona times of Toronto, Arizona. I know they're not our rival, we're theirs. But Toronto's not going to win. I'll take that bet all day long because they're Toronto. And what that means is the pressure in Toronto is so elite and so great and so difficult that unless you win and sweep the Stanley, if they win the Stanley Cup in 7 games, people are going to complain that it took them 7 games. Like, that's what it's like to play in Toronto. And I just don't believe that their mix of players in the locker room is ready for this war. This is war, and it's tough, and it's physical, and it's a big boys, and it's men. It's not dipsy doodle. I can skate around you. It's not that kind of hockey anymore. And I think Toronto's going to try to play that style, and they can't. And I think you've got to have the guys that can buckle up their bootstraps and go play. And the Colorado Avalanche have shown that they have those players that can muck it up, that can grind it out, that can go into a war and can play. And if you don't have that style of play starting game 1, game 83, you're not going to win. And the dipsy doodle fancy Dans aren't going to make it. They're not going to win the Stanley Cup. That's just my 2 cents.
Part of the conversation there for me when you talk about a team like Toronto is, what do you do when it's 5-6 years in a row and you've made 1 second round as a core? How can you continue going forward with that core? You're not proven. And look, there's a certain amount of leeway. It took the Avs 5 years from their first playoff appearance to win the cup, but they did eventually win the cup, right? And now you have that core that has won the cup. It's a lot easier to believe in something like that, as opposed to, oh, okay, you made the second round 1 time. And sure, there are other factors in Toronto, like you were talking about.
Sure.
But at a certain point, it feels like it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy when, regardless of the media, what have you done to change your team to make it a different contender than what it's been for the last half decade or however long it's been? Mm-hmm. I'm sure you've been through that even with Arizona, Petey. You've been part of conference final teams with them. There are moves you have to make, and it feels like, sure, Toronto went out and got Carlo. I guess that makes them better defensively. I really don't know that Lawton changed a whole lot for them, but happy for them. When the core isn't working, what do you do?
Yeah, and here's the thing with Toronto. The excuses we had in Arizona after the 2012, there was a problem. And then they go into the lockout the next year, or the strike. I can't forget whose fault it was. No player, I don't know. But they didn't play. The problem there is money. You get into those teams that you can make a run, but you can't fill all the pieces to be a champion because you don't have the money to do it. That's one thing that the Toronto Maple Leafs, they have above all else, is they have money. There is no excuse in Toronto. They hire every staff member they want. They have the biggest staff in hockey. They hire everybody. There are more advisors than any team in the league. You've got any players you want, any facilities you want, any hotel you want. So that's why they have no excuses. But it is hard to put that winning mix together, and it can crumble so fast. The Boston Bruins set the record for the most wins in the regular season. Where are they now? The New York Rangers are Eastern Conference Finals. Rotten because 1 or 2 bad moves are almost as effective as 1 or 2 good moves. You talk about Colorado bringing in Nelson and Coyle. Phenomenal. Natchez, who's the guy that was almost a throw-in the Rantanen deal, dude, he looks like speedster out there. Like, he is fast. He fits in with the Colorado Avalanche. He looks like he belongs with Nathan McKinnon. So they made the right moves, and that could be the tipping point to get them in. But you make mistakes going the other way, and you're Boston, and you're done. You're Pittsburgh, and you're done. I don't care. They got Crosby and Malkin. Where are they? Talk about the core up the middle. Some of the best centermen in the history of the game playing together. They're nowhere near because it's a couple of bad moves and you're done. And Erik Karlsson's a guy I talk about a lot. I don't like Erik Karlsson. I think it was a humongous mistake on their part bringing Erik Karlsson into their lineup. And now look at them. They're in trouble. And there's so many teams in this league that those 1 or 2 moves and you're done. And there are teams that don't have the financial wherewithal to do that. You have to go slow. Utah, they're going slow. We have to go slow. Columbus, we're going slow because we're financially bound to go slow. So discussion for another day, but I do think the way teams are built makes a difference in their longevity and ability to show up in the playoffs year after year after year, i.e. the Colorado Avalanche. They're going to be a playoff team next year. I'll tell you they will be. They'll be a playoff team 2 years from now because of the way they're built and their ability to change guys at the bottom 6 of the lineup that can be productive players in your team.
He always says you can't cut corners. Sometimes it really is that simple.
You can't.
Yep. Look, the playoffs are the playoffs for a reason. They play the games for a reason because crazy stuff happens in hockey all the time. So it's impossible to really know. But Petey, I'm going to put you on the spot. I need a series prediction for Avs Dallas. How many games and who wins?
In this one, 6 games. Colorado wins 1 there. They sweep them at home. They go back to Dallas. Dallas wins. They win it in Game 6 at Ball Arena. That's my prediction.
Okay.
And I think those first 2 games in Dallas are going to be tighter, meaning score-wise, they're going to be tighter. But as the series expands, I think you're going to see the Colorado Avalanche start to show that they're just better offensively. And I do think the Avs win this in 6.
I love it. I also predicted the Avs in 6. Just to warn you, it's been over a decade since the Avs have won a series at home. So,
wow. I love those.
They do struggle. They do struggle to close out series at home. It is a bit crazy. You were you picked Avs in 5, right? You were the aggressive
I
one.
did. I really think they're going to be rolling. I really think they're going to be rolling like they were. Forget about the last 10 games, like when they went 12-2-2. Right after the trade deadline. I think that's who the Colorado Avalanche are, and I think that's who you're going to see starting tomorrow. And that's why I have them in 5. I believe in this group. I believe in what Chris did and his staff. And I believe in the job Bednar did with 50-plus players, whatever it was this year, which is absurd.
Yeah.
Petey knows. I mean, you have that many guys. I mean, oh, my Lord. Every game was somebody different. So, yeah, I do believe in what they did, and I do believe that they're going in 5.
4, 5, 6, or 7. I won't complain. I'll take it however the Avs can get it. One last question for you, Petey. We appreciate you battling through the tech issues we're having for you.
I know, it's fun. I love it.
You kind of alluded to some of your choices, but today, if you had to pick a team to lift the cup, who you got? I picked Vegas a couple days ago. For that
I had Dallas last year until they started to get hurt, and then they don't even make the final. I had Edmonton losing every round. I thought I'm losing the first round, the second round, the third round, and the finals. And they continued to roll. I really, really, really like the Tampa Bay Lightning this year. I think right now, for me, they've got a leg up. Having said that, there's 6 teams that I think can win the cup, and Colorado is one of them. And so if Colorado's in the finals with Tampa, that can go 7. I mean, we've seen those 2 teams battle it before. I just think this Tampa team is just a little bit different than they've been built in the last few seasons. I think they're faster. I think they're deeper.
I don't believe in Tampa, but Petey sure does. I know E and AJ are big believers in Tampa too. So,
yeah,
not.
But that could change. That could change on Monday morning.
Absolutely.
Monday morning is wrong, and it could be Carolina or New Jersey. I don't know. But what do you guys? I haven't heard your prediction shows, so I'm going to say partly because it is this. I'm going to say Vegas, Colorado is an unbelievable Western final. Just unbelievable. I think Colorado gets over Winnipeg. I think Winnipeg wins the first round, but I think Colorado is going to beat Winnipeg. And I think LA is going to just I think LA far and away. I think they blow out the Oil. Sorry, Oil. LA by far. Vegas beats LA. Vegas and Colorado. That one to me is another one of these Goliath versus Goliath series. Vegas versus Colorado. They're so both top high end guys. Whoever wins that series win the cup. Those are the 3 best teams right now: is Tampa, Vegas, and Colorado.
I think you nailed the Western Conference. No arguments on that front at all. I think Florida could win it. They could win the series against Tampa, but I do
If
think
they beat Tampa, they can win the cup.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's can they get up and running fast enough? These teams never play together. Vegas last year, they won 2 regulation games in the last 7, and they're out in the first round. And it's a team that got hurdled at the trade deadline. You've got Stone coming off an injured reserve, and you go, okay, we're all going to be great, and you can't get through the first round. You couldn't find that chemistry fast enough. That's my fear with Florida. I don't know if they can find their chemistry fast enough. If they can, they can win again.
Fair argument. Unfortunately, I can't let you get your thoughts in because we are on a time schedule here. Petey, I appreciate you coming on. If you want to shout out all your stuff, let the people know where they can find you, man.
Sorry, can I be anytime? Just jump over to YouTube at Inside the Coaches Room. Like we said, we're going to get deep video dives in the entire playoffs. Check me out on S. Peters Hockey on X.
There you go. Go get with them. Again, some of the best content out there. You can't go wrong. We appreciate all y'all hanging out. We are out of here. Next show is a pregame show for Game 1. So if you're not hyped yet, get hyped. This has been the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.